going back to several administrations, and Mayor Rivera is just a wonderful, wonderful leader and a great friend. So I really, I'm thankful that you're a part of this, and really, really look forward to working with everybody to make this a reality.
Thank you. Me too.
So for everybody's purposes, as you heard, I just started the recording. I thought for ease and as people come in, that's why we record it, so we can keep it and share it for those who were unable to attend. But just to begin, if you have the opportunity, put your affiliation in your name. I'll try to rename you, but between the Brockton Redevelopment Authority with Kadi and with Kelly, but also Tisha from Brockton Beer. We have Cindy from NeighborWorks, Jeffrey Audentoli, developer, and many developments in downtown. Vinnie Matarano from the Oak Colony YMCA. Of course, Harbor One is well represented here. I'm going to first start with Hugo. Hugo, who's is in the downtown. I know, sorry, Joe. But I'm going to get to you last. But between Hugo, I know Kevin and Hugo are saying, what did he do?
He's forgotten a lot.
Joe and I have known each other for such a long time. When I was with Brockton 21st Century Corporation, when you get down into the nitty gritty, you spend a lot of quality time with each other. But Harbor One, of course, and then Chris Cooney from the Chamber, Metro South Chamber. We talked about with Amanda. I know I've got Hollywood Squares here, but and then of course with Ann Burke, our consultant. In the meantime, I am going to send this over to, actually, we have Vanessa Jean-Baptiste from I got Greens. I'm gonna get it in a minute, but Vanessa has been joining these meetings as well. And thank you, Vanessa, for joining us. But I'm going to turn this over to Joe Casey to summarize our meeting, and then he will kick this off and have the mayor speak.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome. Good morning to all. We had, the team had an outstanding meeting last week with Mayor Sullivan. Just to let you know, it was Mary, John Marion, and myself, Rob May and John Fay from the city. We had Ann Burke in attendance, also representing the bid from a mass development funding perspective. So thank you, Ann, for your participation. We had Cindy, Chief of Staff, and obviously we had the Honorable Mayor Robert Sullivan, who we had a very open and productive conversation. And I'd like to introduce Mayor Sullivan now to the team to let him know, let us all know his thoughts on where we are with our bid process.
Absolutely. Good morning, and thank you, Joe. I want to thank you. I want to thank Mary Waldron and the DBA. I want to thank, of course, our consultant, Ann Burke, and John Marion, and the working group. And quite honestly, I just want to say thank you to all the businesses in downtown Brockton, right? We need to continue to work together, grow together, plan together, strategize together, and then execute a plan that's going to be beneficial to the existing businesses and new businesses that will be coming to downtown Brockton. All of you should be applauded for, number one, your commitment to the City of Champions. As mayor and as a lifelong Brocktonian, I fully support the bid. The Business Improvement District is going to be a catalyst for good things to come in the City of Brockton. As you know, Brockton, and I recognize this, is one of the largest property owners in the downtown, between the Brockton and the Parking Authority and the BRA. So I want to continue to work with all the existing property owners on items that the city of Brockton could put forward. I want to thank Amanda, Mass Development. They've just been wonderful partners. I am going to humbly ask that everybody on this call, please take the survey. If you have not, please share the survey with your employees, your friends, your family, your residents. We need to get hard data and hard results. I also, when we met the other day, and it was a phenomenal meeting, exceptional meeting, I also suggested, and I'd like to be part of this. I already have my sneakers ready to go. Do a walking tour of downtown. Make sure that everybody in downtown understands we're going to put the information in multiple languages, Spanish and English and Cape Verdean Creole and Haitian Creole. But we're all in this together. And one thing that I have realized as mayor during a pandemic is we as a collective group need to continue to work to better the community where we live, where we work. I've reached out to some other business owners in downtown that haven't been engaged quite yet. And I want to be a partner with you. I really do. And You know, I said this the other day, I'm not going to be the mayor of Brockton forever and ever, but I'm going to be a Brocktonian forever and ever. So right now, if we plant the seeds, the growth is going to be real. And so Joe, as the CEO of one of the largest banks, you know, in not even the Commonwealth, in New England, he doesn't need to do this. And John Marion doesn't need to do this. And none of you do. But you understand we have to have a shared vision for a better downtown. What's good for the downtown of Brockton is going to spread out through Campello and Montello, all sectors of the city of Brockton. So I'm going to humbly ask that we continue to really push this out. Lean on Ann Burke. She's an expert. She's done this in other municipalities. And I also am going to ask that the working group do their thing. I'm going to come back. I'm going to be checking in regularly with Mary. We text all the time, but I'll be back again in 3 months. But I want to do that walking tour now while the weather's still with us. So again, as mayor, I just also want to realize that quality of life issues are important to me as well, right? So I've heard some people saying, hey, the city looks like hell and there's trash and dirt. And, you know, we're working on that. It's not a perfect science, believe me, but the DPW commissioner has street sweepers out there and we've acquired more. And, you know, I can tell you right now that the investment in Brockton, and I've heard this from Karen Polito and Charlie Baker last week, is exceptional, and it's just going to go forward with the next administration as well. So I want to thank the chamber. Chris has been really banging the drum for years, and Mary mentioned she used to lead B21. You know, Robert Jenkins moved on, but Dr. Pat Jackson right now is the acting in the BRA. So let's continue to execute this business plan because Brockton's a business. And what's good for me as mayor and Joe as a CEO and Mary as whatever she does everything and anything. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. So my commitment today is to work with you. I fully support this. And I am going to be speaking to people individually to try to get more engagement. The better engagement is going to be a better result for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor
Mayor,
Sullivan.
that sounds like a great theme into what is, I know, is intending for some marketing that's going to be happening down the road. So, Joe?
Yeah, we really do appreciate the mayor. He said it best that this is a partnership that needs multiple pieces of the puzzle coming together, the business community as well as the city. And we have commitment on both sides. So thank you very much, Mayor Sullivan, for your ongoing commitment. Mary, do you have any other agenda items you want to cover
I
this
actually
morning?
do. I'm going to have, I'm still waiting for Rob and John to join, but maybe, again, the Zoom stuff can always be so challenging. So thank you all for bearing with me. We were having large meetings and in between having small meetings every Thursday. It was getting to be pretty daunting. And like I said before, there was a bit of a gap of time when we were not meeting, but the intent is we met with the mayor updated, we updated him. Now we're going to set that walking tour so we can get further into sort of the needs, talking about the survey. But we're going to go back to that small working group that has really been with Joffrey and John Marion and Jonathan from Trinity and Ted Carmen. And again, those tend to be a little bit more of the bigger groups because there's also, as what has been identified in the past, is that they're smaller property owners, nonprofit and for-profit. We're all in this. So it's not going to be, you know, I'm going to keep saying it because it's important to say that it's all of us contributing into this bid. But it is, it's going to take some more time. So that small group is going to continue to go. But Ann, do you want to jump in at this point just to give any additional information?
Sure, just to let this larger group know, we talked about this last week, I think, before our meeting with the mayor. John and Rob and I have been working to make sure from a budget side of things that we have, based on our priorities that we've identified so far, that we have constructed a budget that is realistic based on the experience of other bids and what they're doing in terms of services, as well as going out to couple of national vendors and a couple of local vendors and talking to a local service provider around our Clean and Safe program that will be an important component to this, and trying to get some realistic budget figures and scope of what we might be able to do within the resources we think we might have available. So from that side, we're going to come back to the working group and then back to this larger group in the city with what we're proposing and recommendations that we're proposing as far as this budget goes. And then on the fee structure side of things, John and I and Rob and others have been working on various alternative fee structures that might make sense to discuss, that will make sense to discuss in more detail. And we are honing in on a couple of scenarios that we would like to propose to the working group next week. We plan to propose to the working group next week to get their feedback and to see, and basically kick the tires to see whether or not these fee structures are doable. We want to certainly take into consideration, the larger property owners that, we have about 13 property owner groups in this district that are on one end of the value equation, and then we have 84% of the property owners at the other end of the equation. So we're trying to come up with a fee structure that is doable for both sides, and to make those recommendations to the working group to consider and to continue to massage until we get to something that we think will work. Related to that, we are continuing our conversations with the city. Rob and John have been great, and the mayor have been great about identifying the baseline services and identifying how the city can participate as a partner and a property owner within the bid in terms of in-kind, supplemental, and potentially cash for specific services that would support the program that you've all laid out, or the priorities that you've all laid out. So that's the work that's happening within the working group and on a staff level. We haven't been doing nothing. We've been actually really trying to get some, really get our arms around something that we feel is a clear picture of our choices, and then also how do we approach this from a funding and sustainability side of things. So we're working at it from both sides, and I really appreciate all of the property owners. Jeffrey, you're here online, and I know John, and there are a number of others who have been a part of this conversation. It is ongoing, and we're trying to make sure that we're coming up with something that is doable for everybody participating in this. And that's kind of where we are right now. We will have those recommendations back to the working group for our next Thursday's meeting. And then I'm sure there's going to be some additional conversation that will happen from then. But I think we're getting pretty comfortable with, the budget and what we think we can accomplish with this budget that aligns with the priorities that you've all identified. And I think as we go out and get more information from surveys, this is only going to reinforce, we hopefully will reinforce the direction that we are planning and that you've identified us so far, and allow us to continue to go forward. Anybody have any questions about that?
Just one in general, Anne and Mary, when would it be appropriate to look at the list of property owners by assessed value to make sure that we speak with ones that we haven't heard from at this point?
Yeah, well, I think we all have that database in the database, and what John and I are
And let me
working on.
let me stop you there for 1 second. Let's see a hand. Because there was a link that John Fay sent out to a Google Doc that does have that information. If you don't, just show of hands who have not, and I'll make sure you get that information. Okay. What I'll do is we'll resend it out to everyone, including you, Mr. Mayor, so you can see that for your perspective. And I didn't mean to cut you off, and I didn't want to necessarily assume that everybody had that. So, okay, thank you.
We do have the actual list that has every single parcel in it, so we know what that looks like. We have sent, and I think in the shared Google Drive, there's information around how this breaks out. What we by category, by property owner. We made this presentation a number of meetings ago, but we can certainly make that again. John and I put that together for you, and we will. Maybe that's the good thing to do when we presentation group. We can go back and so again. So that you know, there's a big Excel spreadsheet that exists, but then there's a more condensed version of this that's, you know, we sort of graphically represented in one of the presentations we made to you a number of meetings ago. But we'll go back and recap that so that we're all working off the same information or the same baseline pieces of information. But this working group is very important to this process, because they're the ones that we really need to make sure that we have that we've come up with a strategy that seems to make sense for property owners, and on the smallest property owner to the largest property owner.
Cindy?
Yeah, I was just going to add, good morning, everybody, by the way. Just to kind of go on what the mayor was saying, people ride around the city, you can see what work needs to be done, right? It's easy to see the problem, but here's a real solution with this program, right? And we're all ambassadors. And so whether we're going around and trying to get the information through the survey or discussing it, we're planting seeds, right? So we're trying to get the buy-in, and it starts now. It can't be like, here's the whole package, now buy-in, like it starts now. And so, let's be out there in the community, having the discussions and trying to let people catch the vision of what we can do, right? Above what the city offers, above what the city's services are. This is something that we as business owners and property owners can really make a difference in the downtown, and then it's just going to catch fire, right?
Yeah.
So let's get that conversation going, plant those seeds, visit the owners downtown and get it going.
And I think Cindy, I really appreciate you saying that, because, as we talked about with the mayor and as we've talked in this group a number of times, everybody's got a little skin in the game, so whether you're a public entity, whether you're a private commercial building, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a residential you all have clients, you all live or work here, you all have tenants, and so you all will benefit from the supplemental services that can be delivered through this vehicle in partnership with the city. And so you all have a little piece to play.
Right. And let me just interrupt for a second. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, I know you've got some other things to do. I don't know if you want to have some final words before you're off to your next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you, Mary, and thank you for inviting me today. Let's just continue to move forward on this. It's just so important. So again, as mayor, I'm committed to this fully. And, I want to work with everybody to make sure it becomes a reality. So let's lean on Ann. Let's work with Mass Development. Let's work with the Chamber and DBA. I know Mary's going to be working with Scott Dwyer from Montello and Ron Bethany for Campello as well. But right now, it's the core of the city. And I'm really excited about it. I'll be the biggest cheerleader with all of you. Thank you and have a great day and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mayor Sullivan.
Thank you.
So I know that there were some other questions, and Ann and Cindy, thanks for questioning that and asking the question, but Ann for the next steps. Amanda, go right ahead.
Can I just jump on one thread from Joe's comment there about the database and kind of working that data? I think we've had great participation over these several months of people kind of popping in and out. But to his point, there are likely folks on that list who have not been to one of these meetings. So if maybe we could be a bit strategic and looking at those and identifying them and making that outreach on a personal level, one of these folks on the call as an ambassador, just making that touch. I think I just didn't want to lose that thread because I thought it was a great point that he made.
Yes, very much so. It is a, as we have done, and as you know, Amanda, like sending out emails and sending out flyers, it is the personal one-to-one contact that is really
Absolutely.
what's going to be most valuable, and that just takes time. So, but
And
thank you for bringing that back up.
And we should certainly spread the wealth because it can't be just all one person.
That's, I won't let that happen, right? I do want to, if I could just do a quick, there was an iPhone and there was a person, and I'm not sure. Hello, could you just identify yourself for us today? The woman in the pink. Oh, yep, could you just
You're on
unmute,
mute.
could you just unmute yourself and just let us know which property you're representing? Oh, you're on mute. Perfect. Oh, there we go. Nope. Try it one more time. Unmute yourself one more time.
You're on mute.
Yeah,
Mary, can you unmute her? Oh, no, you can't because it's
I
an
can't.
iPhone.
I'm just asking
Yeah.
her to unmute herself. Let's try this one more. Oh, yep, there we go. I think that's going to make it.
On the phone, I
Nope.
think you have to hit like *6 or something.
We will try to find out who you are and who you're representing. We won't spend more time but we will find out who. And
Mary,
yes,
Mary, she can type her name into chat.
okay. And ma'am, if you could type your name into chat, there's a way on the phone. Yeah, we can't hear you. You're totally muted, and I can't even control that. But let's do this. We're not going to, again, we'll just have to find out at some point. Other comments in terms of Joffrey and property owners, Chris, just about, in terms of next steps, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is great progress. I think we still have an uphill battle here. I think there's going to be a lot of, and I look at these meetings, the majority, 70% are not taxpayers. So there's a lot of outreach that needs to happen. There's a lot of understanding. Folks understand that the tax rate has been maxed out for the last 5 years. Brockton can't go any higher. And I think some folks in the nonprofit world and in the business world feel as though this is a way to exact more revenues from the business community downtown. So this is I think we should be real with each other and just accept that there's going to be some pushback on this from some property owners and frankly some nonprofits downtown. So I think we should be prepared with the 10 most commonly asked questions. I know Ann has been through this before, but I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk.
Just to add, I guess what Chris said, I haven't seen any numbers yet. I kind of crunched some numbers from a spreadsheet, about a month or so back, but until we have definitive numbers, I can't really say one thing or another, one way or another. I think this comes down to analytics and numbers. So, Mary, I guess until we have that data, and maybe that'll be in, the next smaller meeting we have, we can put some numbers, I guess, in Excel and start crunching them. I'm kind of neutral in the matter. I mean, as Cynthia said, I think this is great. I think it's going to be good for the city and it should happen. But ultimately, we can discuss all the great things all day. If we don't have a majority vote and it's not going to be financially feasible or reasonable, then it's not going to happen. But I hope it does. And there's no numbers I have no numbers to work with to give you any information.
That's correct, Joffrey. And you've been very consistent in saying that. So what you're saying has been true. And that's why you're also part of the small working group committee to really kind of work at that. But that small group hasn't been, because it's been Ann and John Fay, and there's been again, something. So stick with that. The small group meeting is going to be next Thursday. Is that correct, Ann?
Yep.
So, that isn't necessarily everybody in the world. That is just that really is the property owners and who are going to be in that. So my hope is that, because you don't have any numbers to show for today, correct?
No, and we weren't intending to show
right.
those numbers
No,
today, but there
right.
have been some numbers that we have talked about and shared with people that we just wanted to we wanted to have some realistic figures to be able to discuss.
Right.
And I think that makes more sense than just plucking something out of the sky.
And from the perspective, I think from the DBA, and it's not just me, myself and I talking, I think I'm hearing from a couple others who have had some sidebar conversation, is doing nothing is not acceptable either, right? So this is an alternative that has worked in 13 other communities in Massachusetts extremely well in places like Springfield, that we sort of feel that we have sort of the look and feel. It's just finding that right, fair, equitable, reasonable number and element that we can all wrap ourselves around. And and I think it's a fair delineation for those that pay property taxes and those that don't. There's also nonprofits that employ a whole bunch of people that bring a different value, that bring the walkability to the downtown, that if a small, private business that has 2 people working for them. So there's all these things that get factored in, and there's no dissension in terms of the private businesses have been paying the highest amount of taxes for sure. We just need to figure out what that sweet spot is going to be for downtown Brockton for sure. And the hope is that, we can't be in this spinning wheel like this for the next year, because that's just not going to work either. We've got to see some forward progress. So my hope is for the next meeting is going to be Thursday, the 8th. Some of you, I know, like Vanessa, you've had interest in joining. Oh, Antonio Cardoso, thank you very much for renaming. Thank you very much. That's from Cardoso's Auto, am I correct? Oh, you're still muted, but that's okay. Thank you for renaming. I appreciate that. So some next steps next Thursday morning at 8 a.m. There'll be some scenarios, and I would say that is going to be for property owners to attend, because you're going to be the ones to be voting. And if you're not a property owner, then my suggestion is that we wait for the next big group. But we really need to start digging into these numbers. As to Joffrey had said, really need to start reacting to that. So
I would just like to make one observation and comment, and Chris, I think that you kind of talked about how people see this as as a way for us, the city, to extract more taxes out of people. I think conceptually it's really important that this group either fully embraces the concept of these programs and services that you are intending to provide through this vehicle are supplemental, that you have an expectation for certain baseline services, and these need to be supplemental, and you need to be able to talk about it in that way.
Yeah, they needs to be laid out. I mean, we've been talking about this.
Yes,
6
I
months.
understand that, but I think
there
that
has to be a baseline of services that are expected by the small business community in downtown, as like every community, in what is expected in terms of regular cleanup, regular pickup, police patrols, and then what is supplemental. If we don't know the difference, I don't think it's going to fly, because it's going to be hard for all of us to get behind it.
That's right. And we need, and that I know that the city has been working on identifying what those baseline services are.
Right.
And that is important. But once we have identified those, and once we have identified what we're going to offer through this vehicle, then this group, or the steering committee group, needs to be, and we will work on the messaging and the frequently asked questions and things. But this group is going to be the ones who have to, fully get on board and embrace this and speak to that, and be able to communicate what this entity is going to be able to offer, and that these are truly indeed supplemental services. And on the other hand, this is what you should expect in terms of baseline services from the city. And I think that we all need to work together to make sure that we understand that and are clear and understand the messaging going forward, if you want to proceed to try to do this.
You can't have messaging without facts, and so we got to start with the facts. I mean, I don't know who comes up with that. I don't know if that comes out of Rob's office or the mayor's office, or a combination of the DPW or the police department. I don't know.
Well, you have seen the work that Rob has, and it's a work in progress. At several of the last meetings, we've had that we've been working on identifying exactly what that is, and that's committed in that MOU that we are working. This is not linear. There are lots of things working at the same time.
I understand all that. I really do understand it. I understood it in June, and I understood it in July, and I understood it in August, and I understand it now. But my point is, I don't want to get to the end of your contract and then we go, oh, well, we ran out of time. I mean, I really do think that any business person, and Joe's a CFO, was a CFO before he was a CEO, people look at numbers and they want to know what they're getting for the money that they're putting in, and then what are they going to get for the money that's supplemental? And what is
Right.
that? What's the expectation? And I know we've gone around and around on this. I haven't been in the small group, but I've been in the big group. And, you know, Joffrey had some problems with his property. I just spent, several hours with Joe and his property yesterday. There are issues downtown that could be impacted by a police presence, by additional cleanup efforts where there's trash receptacles that are picked up on a regular basis. That is the bread and butter of this campaign, I think. And I think those are the basics that people want to supplementally fund.
I agree.
think the decorations and things like that can,
Can
might
I
come in
address
another phase.
Chris's concern?
Yep, go right ahead, Rob.
And sorry, I was on the road, but now that we have the mayor's commitment, I think we'll be able to hammer that out within a week or so as to what the baseline services are, what the city will put into the deal, and we'll have a lot more information now that he's briefed.
Great.
We just need numbers at this point, I think, and hopefully we can start getting that squared away next Thursday to
Yeah.
kind of
We'll
emphasize what
have-
Chris said. Like, I'm part of this, small group, and I don't have a clue what the numbers are myself. So going back to what Chris said, we need numbers.
Yeah, we have the information now, Jeffrey, to share with the small group that I think is real.
About any other comments?
Mary, I just texted you a picture from Providence and their downtown bid workers. So I just thought it was funny that we were on the call and I saw them.
Wow. Huh. Wow. I will share those with them. Thank you, Rob. So it does get real. For the last, I spent this weekend not only going to a couple events, but doing some things here in my office. And from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I've had an encampment on my property. I have taken it up with the other business associations, Campello and Montello, trying to find a solution, right? But mental health issues as well as substance use seems to be at the core of these. But the idea is that we don't take it internally, that we work together and try to find a solution. And so as we move forward, let's find those numbers, get that working group going. I appreciate everybody's comments. So thank you. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Comments?
Hi, Mary, Letitia here. I just had one final comment.
Great.
So I'm wondering if there is a small portion of funding that we can agree to release in order for us to get a quick win, to see the bid in action, to see or maybe showcase what can be done in just a quarter. I feel like we need to pilot something, see it, touch it, feel it, and then come back to the table and say, okay, this is something that we want to persist. Or let's pivot and perhaps, move forward in a different direction. I think we are all aligned on something needs to be done and something needs to move forward. I just think that if we can find a quick win and with the mayor's support, with the city's support, implement that, and then come back to the table and say, okay, let's look at this as a first case, and be able to move forward. So I'm wondering if the small working group, and I'm happy to opine, provide, opinion and feedback, what might be achievable as a small pilot, and really let's get it out there, right? So there are small wins that I think that if we can all see, it would bring us back to focus and align on the vision.
Yeah, I do not disagree with that at all, Tish. And for someone where Brockton Beer, where you do for your Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday days, and all the activities that you're doing and bringing people and getting word out, I know you're doing your very best, and we need to be able to support what you're doing. But also, as you said, I think a pilot. Let's, we should chat more about that and figure what that pilot would be.
Okay, thanks, Mary. And I do recognize and acknowledge, we're one of the only businesses that operates after dark, right? So our experience in the city
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah.
While we are open for lunch, most of our core visitors are coming from out of town, not from Brockton, after dark, right? And those present different challenges.
They do.
Signage, lighting, marking, safety, et cetera. So,
Mhm.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Letitia. I think that was the day I came by last week. We experienced a little bit of that. And by the way, Brockton Beer Now is open for lunch, sit down lunch on Thursdays and Fridays. So just a little plug there, because that piece is important as you continue to offer options and activities and things like that for downtown Brockton. So thank you for all that you do. Was someone going to say anything else? But thank you.
I just wanted to jump in and say that is actually a fantastic point, and I've personally seen that done in Worcester. There was a big block party that we held in the district that they were aiming to do the bid in to demonstrate some of what could be done if that was put into place. So I just wanted to say I think that's a great idea.
We did that in Central Square when we were forming the bid in Central Square. The Central Square Business Association raised a bit of money from the Cambridge Foundation and a number of other partners in the city. And for 3 weeks, in the final push of the signature campaign, they did an all-out demonstration project of what the programs and services they were going to offer. So they, in a very targeted way, put their maintenance people on the street. They did 2 events. They painted a mural. They did a cultural festival, some music, and they did it in a very concentrated point of time and for a limited period of time to demonstrate the impact that the services, the supplemental services and programs that they could provide would have. This was done when they were about halfway through their signature campaign, and it really pushed the rest of that effort over the top, because when they stopped doing it, people were really noticing the lack of presence that was there from the maintenance people. They went out and scraped stickers off the wall, cleaned out cigarettes, picked up a bunch of needles. They did a ton of stuff and were able to document with what they did during that period of time. So it was the maintenance and the beautification kinds of things, but it was also done in November. So it was pretty ugly period of moment in time, but they were able to show the activations that were possible, like having the mural painted on the wall, having those kinds of things. But they raised about $100,000 to do this in a really concentrated way over about a month, about 3.5 weeks. And it really made an impact. So if we think that is something that we'd like to do, and the time and the timing of it, and finding the resources to do it, it is effective to try. And then they also communicated the hell out of it and told people that they were doing it. So they were very visible. They did the whole range of things that they wanted to do, and they did it in a very compact period of time.
So Rob put in the chat, demonstrated at the holiday parade. So we kind of do that because we have the vendors, we have the businesses. Last year was, again, just short period of time, but we certainly can. So what I would recommend is that, while I'm looking at my calendar, that if there are people who are interested in talking this through a little bit, we will sit with utilizing the DBA funds that we have available, because right now there's no other funds that we really could do to demonstrate, but let's see what we can do for free, how to maybe integrate it into the holiday parade, or look at those plans. So because there's a lot of energy and activity, as you can tell by my screensaver, that there's holiday activity that needs to start and moving forward. There was and no, this is not a slight to the Metro South Chamber, but I know that the Plymouth Chamber did a scavenger hunt with different businesses, and I really love that idea, what they had, and I've talked with them since we're members of them as well. And getting the Greater Brockton Young Professionals, getting the Greater Brockton Minority Business Association, getting all involved to really get behind. And that does tend to be what the holiday parade does, but it's kind of done by lots of wonderful volunteers. So let's put some mindset into that. And Letitia, I think I was looking at my calendar with the Columbus Day, with the Indigenous Peoples Day weekend this weekend, and a couple other things. I didn't know, maybe if we can all get together maybe next Thursday at Brockton Beer, and come with some ideas and maybe do some brainstormings and invite others about what they'd like to do, put together a budget and see what we can do with what's already going on with the holiday parade, or what we can lead into. So Thursday, the 13th at Brockton Beer is where we're all going to be. Does that work?
What time is that, Mary?
Letitia, what do you think?
I was just trying to get off chat. I think after core business hours work, so anytime after 4:30 certainly works. So Mary, what we can do is shoot out a quick email to folks, and those who can make it, accept and participate. But I also want to be clear on how decisions are made for this pilot period, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. Great, and thank you. And I know that if you cannot make it, you have some ideas. We'll keep this group engaged so we can all work on getting the word out. The mayor talked earlier about getting word out to your employees and others about that survey. There still are only about 47, 48 people that have responded. We really should be much more robust than that, because this is what we're going to base the priorities, right, in terms of what when eventually and if those funds come into play. So anyway, if we can get the word out on, the mayor's office said they'll get the word out on the city's website and the and their social media. So great.
Mary, can you send the details on that event next week?
Yes,
Dr.
I just created in my head. So yes, I'll it will be in the summary with this recording.
Just as a reminder for this group, the Chamber's hosting an event at Stonehill College with legislators. We have 100 people registered already. It's free. It's a great event. It's our 32nd year doing that. It's regional in nature. We also have the Secretary of Economic Development and Transportation coming October 26th to Thorny Lee. Please attend that. A lot of the topics we're talking about here in downtown are going to be talked about by the secretaries there. Some of the funding, some of the expansion, some of the trains being added to the rails starting this time next year from Fall River to Bedford, all of that. So we're expecting 150 people for that event with the New England Real Estate Journal. So hopefully
Great.
you'll make it.
Thanks, Chris. Joe Casey, and I know John Marion's not here, but thank you and John for your leadership as private businesses and taking being as co-chairs, but also to all the others, including all those who are on this and those who couldn't make it. Your voice is really important, and we need to get this right going the first time. So get those questions, details out there, and then let's keep moving forward. So small group meeting, just to recap, next Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Then Thursday at night, we'll get the details about having discussions about the what a bid could potentially be, and we'll work with Letitia on that. And other than that, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.